answering your tough financial questions for the past 26 years. It's Allworth's Money Matters with co-hosts Scott Hansen and Pat McClain. Would you like an opinion on a financial matter you're dealing with? Whether it's about retirement, investments, taxes, or 401ks, Scott Hansen and Pat McClain would like to help you by answering your call. To join Allworth's Money Matters, call now at 833-99-WORTH. That's 833-99-WORTH.
Welcome to Allworth's Money Matters. I'm Scott Hansen.
I'm Pat McClain.
Thanks for being part of our program today as we talk about financial matters. Both myself and my co-host here, we are practicing financial advisors, certified financial planner, chartered financial consultant. We are here on the weekends to be your financial advisors on the air. And if you'd like to join our program, if you'd like to ask us a question, and sometimes it's funny, Pat, sometimes there's questions that people call and you're like, if I were facing what you're facing at this very moment, I don't think I'd be calling a radio program. I think I'd find the best expert in town, in the state, in the country, and go talk to them immediately. You know what I mean? Every once in a while. So, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but
here's what's nice about this.
it's anonymous.
Yes.
We don't have a dog in the fight.
That's correct. You're going to get
I'm going to tell you what we think.
advice.
And if we don't know the answer, we'll tell you we don't know the answer. And we'll try to get you the answer off air.
But usually we know the answer.
Most of the time.
We can give you some,
Or we'll point you in the right direction.
And there are so often people come in and see us that have these financial products that were sold to them, and I'm always thinking, yeah, had you just simply called our program, got a second opinion before you moved forward.
Yes.
So if you are in a situation where you're thinking, am I doing the right thing? Should I be thinking about doing something different? Is my advisor giving me the right advice? Should I be doing something different? Am I heading down the right path? Is retirement realistic for me at this period of time, etc.? So to join our show, 833-99-WORTH will get you on Hansen and McClain's Allworth's Money Matters with the both of us here. Again, 833-99-WORTH, or numerically it's 833-999-6784. And we're going to start off with Gail. Gail, you're with Allworth's Money Matters.
Hello there.
Hi, Gail.
These questions regard my R&D.
Your required minimum distribution from your retirement plans? Yes?
Yeah. I have it in two institutions. I have one, majority of it is in a 401k, and the other is an individual IRA that I took out.
Okay.
And I guess what I'm wondering is, I know you have to calculate how much they take out from each firm. It can actually be taken out of one firm, and I was wondering, how do they do that?
Are you still working?
No.
Okay. All right.
No, I retired in 2014.
If you had multiple IRAs, then if you had two IRAs, then you could figure out you're supposed to take out $5,000 from one account, $7,000 from the other account. So as long as you took out $12,000 from either of the accounts, you'd be fine.
When you say they, you mean you. It's not they calculate it. It's your responsibility.
It's still your responsibility. They do send you a calculation on each plan.
But they don't force you to take that money out of that plan. But if you don't take the money out of the plans, the total amount, then you're responsible for any tax penalty that comes with that.
But with a 401k and an IRA, you need to take distributions from both the plans because they're different plans. They're different types of plans, although they're very similar.
One is 401k and one is 408a. So they're not the same. Yeah. They look the same. They taste the same, but they're not the same.
So you're saying an IRA is the same as a 401?
It is not.
They're not the same.
They're completely different.
They're two. So the 401k is the section of the tax code where the 401k comes from. Yeah. Internal Revenue Code 401 subsection K, and the IRA comes from a different section of the tax code.
408. So they're not the same.
Oh, I see what you mean.
So you have to take the withdrawals from both of them.
Or you roll the 401k into an IRA. If you like the one you've got, you put it in that one. If you don't, set up a new IRA, have them all in just one place, which is what the majority of people do at this stage in life. They have it all into one place, and it just makes it simple for the calculations.
Yeah. Why do you have them in different places?
Because she retired from her company and just left it there.
Well, I had opened up actually the IRA way back even before they started the 401k where I worked. And I put some in, and then I didn't really add any more, and it's just kind of grown.
And how much is in your 401k?
It's about $240 now, and then in my IRA it's about $35, I think. And
$35,000. And how much did you start?
Yeah.
How much did you put into that IRA? Because you said you opened it years ago.
I think originally it was about $5,000.
Yeah, there's
but
time.
Then I also added. I rolled over from some stock that I had and put it in there.
Well, the answer to your question is they have to be done separately. The long answer is it would make your life much easier if you actually combine them together and either use the financial advisor or did it yourself.
In a type of IRA where you can own multiple investments.
That's the whole idea behind it. So if you go to a discount brokerage firm, you can buy multiple things, or you can bring it to a single institution and you could put different mutual funds into it. It's called a brokerage IRA, and it just makes life easier. One of the benefits of actually keeping it in the 401k, quite frankly, is that you've got at least someone doing a minimal screen over the investment.
Your allocations could be way off. So.
That's correct.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. May I ask one more thing?
Sure.
So I obviously it sounds like I either need to talk to a CPA or a CFD.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Or
not to figure out how much your calculation is, because both the 401k plan and the IRA should send you at the end of the year here's what your required minimum distributions are. But so you can satisfy that without having to talk to any professional, because they send you the documentation on it. It's whether or not it's invested correctly and the right thing for you long term. I think a certified financial planner would be the route to go. A fee-based one, independent fee-based one. So, all right.
All right. Okay.
You don't sound happy.
Hey, Gail, did we ruin your
I know.
day? Gail?
I think maybe you can just make a recommendation. I have seen someone with McLean and Hanson, and they. I was looking for just a fee-based, but they wanted to allocate all of my funds. They wanted to be able to do that, and I didn't. That's not exactly what I had in mind.
Well, it might have been what they thought was the most appropriate, though, and so that's what they recommended.
Do they offer just a fee base where you can go in and sit down and talk with someone and get tax information and know? They can tell you what to do.
Yes, and
Is
they
that the kind of things that I should be doing.
Yes, they are us. So we changed our name from Hanson McLean to Allworth, and you're talking to Pat McLean and Scott Hanson. But yes, they do that as well. And that may have come out in the conversation or not.
And it's Allworth. And what we don't do as a firm is we don't do hourly billing the way, say, a CPA would work.
Yeah.
That's just not what we do.
So appreciate the call.
Yeah. So thank you, Gail. Appreciate the call. Yeah. Good luck to you. Now, before we go back to calls, Pat, I saw an article about new cars. And it's interesting because as cars become safer and safer, and I'm not making anything like this is right or wrong. I think now there's backup cameras on many cars, and some, I don't know if is it mandatory now?
I don't know. Or
there's some talking about making it mandatory.
Or where it shows someone on your side when you go to change
that's not
lanes.
mandatory, though, is it?
I don't know, but I have one on my car, and I rented a car that didn't have one.
No, it's mandatory for me now. I've got it, too. I love it.
Yeah. I rented a car that didn't have it, and I'm like, I'm a dangerous person.
It's nice, that little red light
without
there.
this little.
But now there's something for, in case there's if there's a child in the back, they want you to double check. All these new technologies, which is the challenge is the price of a new car continues to climb higher and higher. And as it stands now, only 18% of households have enough liquid cash to cover the cost of a new car. 18%.
A new car.
Yeah, 18%. 82% of Americans could not go buy a new car with cash.
Why does the average American need a new car? What's wrong with a 3-year-old car or a 2-year-old car?
I don't know. Do they last as long as they used to?
Yeah, they last a long time. Cars will last 100.
How come you don't see a lot of cars that are
50,000.
20 years old on the road?
I don't know. Well,
I kind of wonder that. I don't keep a car for 20 years. I did have one that
How
I
do
left
you know
car,
whether the car's
I did have a car for 15 years.
I've had cars for 15 years. In fact, I got rid of one last year that was 15 years old. Each one of my kids learned to drive it. It was really beat up. When we brought it over to who's the people, CarMax, to sell it? The brakes went out on the way over.
I brought a car there to sell, and I had a problem on the way over, too.
And so the guy goes, hey, we're going to take this car for a test drive.
I don't know if I'd recommend that.
And I go, I don't think that's a good idea. And he said, well, we're going to have to give you less money if we can't test drive it. And I said, I'll be okay with it because I don't want to kill anyone on the way over. So
the average size of an auto loan has grown by a third over the last decade.
Size of the amount of money. But I heard an ad the other day where you get more money in your auto loan than the car's worth.
It's exactly right. So the average loan now for a new car is $32,000 and some change. The average loan length has stretched out to 69 months.
Okay, so that's 5 years, 9 months.
Over 5 years.
5 years, 9 months. But I've seen 7 and 8 year loans as well.
Oh, yeah. There's, what did I send this over? Yeah, there are loans that go much further than that.
Scott,
And right now, if a third of new car buyers, 1/3, trade in their cars that have debt on their cars that's worth more than the cars.
The car, so they have negative equity in the car.
So the car's worth $15,000, the
They
loan's
owe
$18,000. They go and the dealer's like, "Oh, no problem. We'll roll it all into a new one."
New going forward. And the number of actually car loans out there as a percentage has increased significantly as compared to what it was 10 years ago.
Consumers hold $1.3 trillion of debt on their cars. That's up from $740 billion a decade earlier.
What's the danger in all of this? Why are we talking about it?
Well,
you have a depreciating asset.
yes, it's a horrible investment. Cars are horrible investments.
If
If you can afford a new car, great. But don't buy a new car if you really can't afford it. And can't afford it means you've got all the other areas of your financial life in order.
You're putting your maximum in your 401k. You have life insurance on yourself if you have children at home or a spouse that you've got some good term insurance. A car can be a luxury or it can be just something that you need to get through life.
Yeah. And for most, I mean, they're horrible investments. And I think
not as bad as boats.
Okay. Well, all right.
Which you can get a 15-year loan on a boat.
Oh, longer. 20, 25-year loan.
Actually, a friend of mine owns a boat dealership, and he asked me not to ever talk about this again on our radio show about the loans on the boats. Sorry, Bob.
And the fact that you just said that is probably even worse for him.
Sorry, Bob.
All right, let's continue on with calls. 833-99-WORTH is the number. That's 833-999-6784. We are in Colorado with Bob. Bob, you're with Allworth Money Matters.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, Bob?
Good, good. I wanted to ask about, I'm in my pre-retirement years, within like 5-6 years, let's say. So a lot of what we've been putting aside has been through 401ks or IRAs over the years. So we've kind of built up our war chest, if you will. And so I'm concerned about two things, the taxes or tax consequences once we retire, and whether I should be maybe not putting money in those kind of vehicles now, maybe looking at an annuity. I know you guys are not big fans of those, but also how we could get a little more safety in the mix between bonds or stocks or something else.
So is your concern taxes now or taxes in retirement? Because annuities...
Taxes in retirement more so.
Got it. And so what's your approximate family income now?
Well, I would say we're probably earning a little over 100 and putting away like close to 20% now.
Okay. And how much money do you have in savings?
As my wife and I continue to move toward retirement, we're at about 500,000 now.
Okay.
And how much of that is in stocks?
Too much, probably 2/3.
Okay.
And how old are you?
I am 62.
All right.
So probably looking at a 66 and a half year retirement.
Why do you think 2/3 is too much?
Well, just in terms of safety going forward, the market's pretty hinky right now, but that's one of the reasons I called.
Yeah.
I mean, so feedback on,
I think sometimes the markets can be volatile, and clearly stocks are going to fall again in value, and it's going to be another ugly time in the future, but they're always temporary. So every decline, assuming you're broadly diversified, right? If you're not and you pick one company, well, good luck to you. But if you're broadly diversified,
we are.
Yeah, you're broadly diversified. Every decline is temporary, and once they get past the bad times, it always comes to new highs. And I got in this industry in 1990, and back then the Dow Jones Industrial Average was around 2,600.
Right.
Today it's around 26,000. Right? I mean, it's my own personal experience, right? Because I've been in the industry, but
and the reality is you're not drawing the money out all in one day. So you're over you in your spouse's lifetime. Do you owe money on your home or anyone else? Do you owe money to anyone else?
We do still owe money on our home, and we're trying to arrange it so that by the time I retire, we don't owe anyone.
Perfect.
How much money do you owe on the home?
That's tough. Still about 110.
And what kind of payments are you making towards the home on a monthly basis?
I think it's about $1,500-$1,600 right in there.
Okay, so here's a couple things that.
And have you contributed to a Roth IRA in the past?
Oh yeah, absolutely, nonstop for like 30 years.
For a Roth IRA.
No, not always a Roth. We have a small part of what we have in Roths. I think it's like 16-17%, because we have like 4 different IRAs with different companies, but most of my holdings are in a 401k with one company.
Yeah.
Got it. So you're making this a lot more complicated than it really needs to be.
Okay.
And don't talk to that annuity salesman anymore.
Yeah, and stay away from the annuity people. But the reason you're making it more complicated than it needs to be is if you took all of these accounts with the exception of your 401k, and because of the fact that you're over 59 and a half, you might even consider taking all of these accounts and putting it into a single IRA and a single Roth IRA for both you and your wife, right? So you'll have 4 accounts at most.
Got it.
Then you're going to build a portfolio that's approximately 60% equities and 40% bonds and cash, and with a little bit of traded real estate in there, maybe a little bit of liquid alternatives, but nothing fancy. It doesn't have to be super fancy, right? And I would continue
of low-cost investments.
Yeah, low-cost investments with primarily indexed ETFs in there. But I wouldn't, you don't need to make this complicated. Then have an advisor build a model for you that actually shows that it actually is 60-40. And then I would continue to save at that 15 to 20%. And I would most certainly actually pay off that house as quickly as I possibly could. 4 years, you said, we started the phone call and you said 5 to 6 years from retirement. And then halfway through the phone call, you said about 4.5 years.
That's because I think I'm still 61, but I'm actually 62 in 2 months.
Okay.
Okay.
So I would build.
It's funny how as we get older, we kind of ignore those birthdays.
I would build a plan around 60 for 5 years, and if go to our website and watch the 7 personal decision points video. And it will actually walk you through these 7 steps that you need to make, or you can call one of our offices and sit down with an advisor and they'll walk you through the steps. But the idea is you're almost there. The annuities are, so think about an annuity. What happens behind the screen with the annuity? What does the insurance company do with the money you give them?
Right. And I've listened to your show for a while now, and I understand that they're basically making money on it. You're getting part of it on a good day, with the right contract, and it's not ideal. But boy, they sell that safety factor to you, and
As they scare the crap out of you.
That's right.
That's how they sell them, with fear and fear.
Yeah.
And they talk about all the things that can go wrong.
Yep.
But the problem with that route, one, you're not going to get anywhere close to the stock market returns, not even in the same ballpark because of all the restrictions. Right. And secondly, the biggest risk retirement is not short-term fluctuations in your account balance, it's inflation.
Right.
And if you have everything in what appears to be safe, over time, your dollar's worth less and less and less. And suddenly when you go to the store and a gallon of milk's $12, you're not going to have the $12.
Unless it's organic milk and you're buying it today at Whole Foods, in which case it's $12
It's already $12.
But that's a different story altogether. But the point being is look, you have a good enough understanding of the situation. You just got to clean it up a little bit and put some numbers on paper that actually says, I'm going to retire in 5 years. What's it going to look like? And you may find that you're going to put a little less money in towards savings and a little bit more towards the house and start the Social Security at 66 and actually get to the same standard of living that you have today, which is that 7 personal decision points. So based on this conversation with you, I'd say that 5 years is not an unrealistic goal for retirement. I think it is absolutely doable at the same standard of living, assuming that your income is approximately $100,000 a year. Because we quickly go through the math. You're saving 20%. That's the $80,000. You're putting almost 8% towards Social Security. So you're living actually at about $70,000 a year. You're putting $18,000 a year towards your home. Right now, you're down to $50,000 a year. I take a look at this $500,000. I assume a 4% distribution rate. That's $20,000, and then kick in Social Security. You're almost there anyway. So that's just quick math in my head without even using a calculator. If you went through the 7 personal decision points process, you'd land on a number. And it might be 4 years and it might be 5 years. I doubt it's 3, and I don't think it will be 6. It's probably 4 to 5 years.
And don't worry about the taxes so much.
Oh yeah, listen, you're fine.
Here's one advice. Don't talk to somebody who gets paid to sell you a specific product. You don't have a tax problem.
You don't have a tax problem.
And a tax-deferred annuity could create a tax problem because what you'd be doing is just ending up down the road with tax-deferred money. The challenge, when you pull money out of an annuity, you've got to pull your you pull your interest out first. So if you put, let's say, $100,000 in an annuity, and it grows to $150,000, and you say, "Oh, I need $30,000 for a new car," you're forced to take $30,000 of your interest first. It's fully taxable, 100% taxable. Let's say, on the other hand, that you said, why don't I keep I'll have my growth investments held on the outside. I'll have my fixed income, my bond side, my safer stuff in my IRA or my 401k. And let's say you invested in an S&P 500 fund, an index fund that mirrors the S&P 500, and you had a $50,000 growth. Number one, it would be almost all tax deferred because it grows. Second, if you needed $30,000 for a new car, you would sell $30,000 worth of it. Only a portion of that would be considered taxable, and the portion that was taxable would be capital gains.
And it receives a full step up
further,
on basis.
When you die, the gains are forgiven.
And it never happens. Let me ask this question of you, Mr. Hansen, but I do know the answer. Yeah. For demonstration purposes, Scott Hansen, the firm that you are the co-CEO of, how much money does it have under advisement?
Allworth Financial?
Yeah.
Just shy of $5 billion, $5 billion.
Okay, so you understand.
It's not that I don't know the number, but
you understand you understand the products pretty well, do you not?
I started with an insurance company out of college.
How many annuities do you own, Scott?
I actually own 2.
Tell me about them.
One for my wife and one for me that I bought in the financial crisis, and I put $5,000 in them each. And I bought them because at the time it had a window that you can put up to $1 million on it, and it had a guaranteed income rider on them.
Guaranteed minimum income benefit rider.
Yes. And so now it's full disclosure here. So the insurance company later closed that window, so you couldn't add anything more. And sometimes the cobbler's kids go barefoot. I know I need to move them out from where they are into a no-load annuity contract and I haven't done it yet.
You bought an annuity 15 years ago?
But I didn't really invest much in it. I opened it up to it's like I looked at it, buying an option to put more money in the future, saying, because these contracts are changing.
And they did change.
They certainly changed after that. And then the insurance companies figured out a way to.
Would you buy an annuity today?
No.
I don't own an annuity. Never have. Can't imagine ever.
They were.
Back in the day, 20 years ago, they were different.
Yeah. It's just a different market. And the interest rates are so low today, there's not. By the time all the commissions get paid, there's
nothing left.
Yeah. So
anyway, Bob.
Yeah. Glad you called, Bob.
Appreciate the call.
Yeah. Hope this is helpful. And I think Pat said our 7 personal decision points I think would be helpful for you. Oh, we're up against the clock. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. This is Allworth's Money Matters.
Can't get enough of Allworth's Money Matters? Visit allworthfinancial.com/radio to listen to the Money Matters podcast.
Welcome back to Allworth's Money Matters. Scott Hansen.
Pat McClain.
Hey, if you haven't been to our website in a while, I encourage you to do so. There's one of the articles that we are highlighting right now is someone had reached out to us. They were 64, retired, and they were considering about doing a part-time work, and they're wondering how that would impact their Social Security. So if you are yet to retire, wondering how either full-time employment or part-time employment could impact your Social Security, there is a good article on our website. It's allworthfinancial.com. And also, while you're there, there's some other good articles. One on the 4 biggest retirement healthcare misconceptions. But we've also got different tutorials and blogs and videos and previous podcasts of this program.
It's worth a visit.
And we've got the All Retiree U with all kinds of great
educational. We believe that an educated client is a good client. As well as we believe that we should be as transparent
and
as
with
possible.
your financial life, you can't outsource it 100%. If I have a plumbing problem on my house, I could hire a plumber and say, "Look, I don't want to learn anything about it. Just take care of it. Send me the bill." In your financial life, you have to participate. You see the investments. You see the statements. You check in online and see what things are worth.
I've never really thought of it like that.
But you have some responsibility in this.
You have to be engaged.
Years ago, Pat, I remember some people came in. They were clients. They had a retirement lump sum. We scheduled a meeting just to talk about the investments. They came in and said, "Scott, we only have 20 minutes. I kid you not. We have 20 minutes because there's a Beanie Baby convention that we have to get to." This is when Beanie Babies were the case. I said, "You mean to tell me you're going to only give me 20 minutes for us to discuss your investments here?" I said, "I'm trying to get you to understand what it is you own, so when things go crazy, as the world happens to do from time to time, you'll make wise choices and not poor ones." So they said, "We trust you." Well, that's not right. I mean,
yes.
You have to have
at least a basic understanding.
Yes, which is one of the reasons we've been doing the radio program in 24 years. And as technology's changed, we've got lots of great tools on our website to help people so that they can accomplish their financial goals and objectives and stay retired and be retired and that sort of thing. So let's take some calls. 833-99-WORTH is the number. We're talking with KC. KC, you're with Allworth's Money Matters.
I pastor church, and under the IRS laws, pastor allowed housing allowance.
Yep.
My house is paid for, and I'm wondering, is there any kind of housing allowance, or, what I mean by that is, can I designate a portion for what would be equitable for rent, or I just lost all that and just the normal deduction that you can claim, like lights and that type of stuff.
Let me ask you, if you look at your all family income, I mean, I'm trying to determine what difference it's going to make in your tax situation. So, and I'm not a tax expert when it comes to pastor's housing allowance, although I do understand how it works. What's your overall family income, gross family income?
Right around $100,000.
And how many children do you have?
At home?
None.
And are you putting money into a 403B or 401K or anything like that?
Yeah, I have it's called a thrift saving plan with the federal government.
So you still have other expenses associated with that home besides the mortgage. There's taxes, there's insurance, there's utilities. Are you deducting those things?
Yes, yes.
So it's just the fact that because you haven't borrowed money from a bank and having to pay interest, you can't deduct that interest that you otherwise would be able to deduct.
No, just say if I was paying my mortgage.
Yes.
Yeah, which would be...
If I had a mortgage, whatever I was paying for mortgage, I could write off as a housing allowance, the whole thing. Just say if I was paying $700 a month for mortgage, then I could write that $700 off.
How old are you, Casey?
I'm 57.
I'm just thinking, theoretically, and I'm not an expert on this, but here's where I would talk to an accountant on this, that someone who does tax returns with these very issues that understands it pretty well. Because I've seen this before. So, technically, let's say he took out a 10-year mortgage.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Or a 7-year mortgage or something. Yep. And now let's say his payments are a couple grand a month. And now he can add a couple grand a month to his, even if he took the money and put it directly in CDs, earning very little, it might yield him some benefit. So the way in order to answer this,
or you could just go buy a new house and convert this to a rental.
Yeah, but he might not. That might not be the most advantageous for his finances.
Yes.
That would be nice.
And usually you look for a nicer home than the one you're in, too.
I'm sure my wife would appreciate a new house right about.
No, but it is worth exploring. It is absolutely worth digging into.
Here's what I would dig into, Casey. What if you took a 5-year mortgage or a 7-year mortgage and just amortized it so your payments would be to pay it back over that length of time? You took that cash, you stuck it in CDs or a high-yielding money market, something extremely safe, drew down on that account to make those payments. Because the interest rate's so low, the tax savings that you receive could equate to a very high return on those dollars.
Yes, without any risk.
Without any risk.
Without any risk, assuming that you take it and put it into a risk-free account.
Yes, and assuming you are within the legal guidelines of the law, which is, you being a pastor, I would hope that's what you would be looking for.
I would hope so.
So it is worth. It's worth. Who does your taxes now? Is the person familiar with? So you want someone that is super familiar with these.
There are people that specialize in church tax stuff. I would use somebody that has lots of pastors as clients.
That's the direction I would go.
Yeah.
And how would you find that person, Scott?
I would use the Google.
The Google? No, would you?
I have a pastor's conference or something like that, or ask around some pastors. I'd ask around some of your pastor friends, someone in your denomination or association or whatever. Yeah, you're thinking. I like the way you're thinking, though.
Makes sense.
At first, I'm like, what? And then all of a sudden, if in fact, and I'm not an expert in this, but if in fact you can deduct the whole payment, which I believe you can.
Yes.
Yeah. Then it makes sense.
And so most of the payment will be actually returned. It'll be paying down the principal, not interest.
And you know this because of your involvement in the church?
I remember years ago I was on the board where we had to make those decisions on who's eligible for pastoral allowance, and I always thought it was one of those kind of old hangouts, holdovers from years gone by. It's kind of a strange exemption. It's as I remember the board. I felt good for the people I knew, but it was one of those things that
like why'd we bother?
Yeah, and it's also, I appreciate the call, Casey. Some people have chosen to forego Social Security if you have a social conscience against Social Security, and I've met some people in a variety of different types of ministries who, over the years, they chose to opt out of Social Security, which might have sounded like a good idea when you're 23.
Yes,
right, but
especially if they're not high earners.
Social Security is a fantastic. Yeah, if you're a televangelist, go ahead and avoid it.
Yeah, but if you're making $30,000 or $40,000 or $1,000 a year, Social Security is
great. A great deal. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
If you're making $500,000 a year, not so good. Not all televangelists, I think, make a lot of money. I think there's a lot of televangelists.
Just pointing out for the ones that.
I think a lot of televangelists are probably just struggling.
Sometimes I'm like scratching my head, like, what?
How's that work?
Yeah. Do we even remotely believe the same things? I don't know. Anyway, don't want to get off on that. And let's continue on. Our number, 833-99-WORTH. We're with Steve. Steve, you're with Allworth's Money Matters.
Yeah, thank you. I truly appreciate you guys taking my call.
Thank you, Steve.
I listen to your podcast every week, and I very much value your opinion.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.
So my question is related to Roth conversions. I think my wife and I are in pretty good shape from a retirement standpoint, but we do have some fairly large 401ks and IRAs traditional, and I'd just be interested to hear your opinion based on my specific circumstances. So a little background, I'm married, like I said, almost 64. I've actually been retired for 6 years. My wife is 60 and still working and plans to retire at 62. We currently have about approximately $2.2 million in these traditional retirement accounts, either 401ks or IRAs, and about $1 million in a taxable brokerage account. We also have about $600K in money markets and CDs, and we live fairly comfortably on maybe $5,000 per month. And in 6 years of retirement, we haven't had the need to withdraw anything from any of the savings account due to my wife's due to my pension and my wife's salary. I haven't started Social Security, and I probably will wait till at least FRA, if not longer. I have a daughter who will be sole beneficiary, and my concern is the $2.2 million in the tax-deferred accounts and the potential tax burden to her, especially if this. And I don't totally understand it, but I've been reading about this new Secure Act, and it sounds like it's going to have a huge impact on her. And I just wondered what your general opinion is of whether I should start doing these conversions, and particularly how this new Secure Act will affect them.
And are you in Washington State or Washington, D.C.?
Washington State.
And what's your family income at this point in time?
Between the pension and and my wife's salary, it's about $90,000.
And what portion of that is your wife's salary?
It's about 50-50, 45 pension and 45 salary.
And how many years until she retires?
2 years.
Well, there's some room still this year in the lower tax bracket. It goes from 12% to, is 25% the new brackets now? I believe so, yeah. 12% to 25%.
I thought it was 22.
Was it 22? Maybe it's 22. I forget the top of my head.
So you absolutely should be running some pro formas to see whether you should convert now, and you most certainly should probably convert when your wife quits working. And she putting the maximum into her 403Bs or 401Ks or whatever they are?
No, she's self-employed. So we're not.
There's no sense. I mean, there's no sense
adding
more, and then
converting.
Right. No, not at this tax level, unless she can contribute to a. Is she totally self-employed? Does she have employees?
No employees.
I'd do a Roth solo K.
Yes, for her to the maximum.
She could put quite a bit in that Roth solo K.
Okay.
Yeah.
In addition to the conversions.
Yeah.
Yes,
absolutely.
So you've got some room, a little, not much, but where the real financial planning actually comes into place is the year she retires and the year after she retires.
Right. Should I put enough into the Roth conversion to get up to the 22% bracket? That's what I was thinking.
Yes, 100%. Well, it'd be a hard argument to push for more, but here's what you really should consider doing is doing some scenarios with some different growth assumption, because that 2.2, it's 2.2 million today. What's it going to be worth by the time you're 70 and a half?
Yeah, and how much income is that brokerage account spinning off?
I'm not using it for any income at this point.
I know, but you still get taxed on what. What's coming in there. So if you were sitting in our office, or I hope any good financial advisor's office across the United States, good registered investment advisory firm, you would take all of this and say, okay, let's look at our income today. Let's look at the income that comes from the cash and the CDs. Let's take a look at the income that is spun off in the brokerage account and figure out if there is any room at all. And my guess is it's probably negligible now.
Still worth doing.
But it's worth going through the practice. And then you'd say, okay, well, what happens when my wife quits in 2 years? And at that point in time, you'll be 66 years of age, and you might forego your Social Security for a couple years, especially if you're in very, very good health. And say, okay, what should we be converting at that point in time? So my guess is there's probably not a lot of value in it right now, but the day she quits work, or you may have her work till the end of a calendar year and none in the next year, and then start those conversions. But you absolutely are recognizing an issue that you're going to have, which is the required minimum distributions, and under this new Secure Act, what will happen to those dollars that goes to your daughter?
Does she live in Washington?
No, she lives in California.
Oh, even worse, right?
Or she's going to have to move.
Even worse.
She's got to have to move.
No, because Washington's and there's no income taxes, right? So there might be an argument for even doing some conversion in that 22% bracket.
Assuming that she stays in the state of California.
Even still, because, I mean, nobody knows what's going to happen with the future tax rates. We don't know. But I have a feeling that people who inherit huge IRAs probably aren't going to want they're probably going to take.
That's if you're going to tax someone, you should tax someone that got money from.
I've read some of the arguments against the Secure Act because it's what it basically, for the rest of you out there, it's right now when someone inherits an IRA, they have to take a little bit of money out, but they can stretch it out over their entire life expectancy.
So assuming that Steve's daughter is 30 or 35, she has another 40 years to take the money out over.
Spread it out and keep it at low taxes. The Secure Act would require it to be distributed within 10 years.
Which
so now you're talking a couple $100,000 a year. State of California, well, boy,
that's a couple $100,000.
Gavin Newsom's going to love it.
But based upon the fact that you've been retired for 6 years and you're not taking any income from this IRA, and you're 64, this could be a $5 million IRA.
Yeah.
By the time she retires,
you might even look at converting more.
Up to the 24%.
Yeah, I mean, well, you got to. What ends up happening, you can start losing some other deductions along the way. So you really need to run the numbers.
Okay.
You're thinking about the right.
Yeah,
thing.
you're thinking about.
And by the way, Steve,
it's pretty advanced.
It's a good problem to have.
This is actually, and it's pretty.
Even though you get frustrated, right? Every once in a while.
It actually tells us you have a great understanding of how all this works by asking the question.
Look at this, Pat. He's got.
Oh, that's true, huh?
I mean, you couldn't ask for.
He's been retired at 58.
You couldn't ask for a more perfect distribution as far as your pension plans go.
And I'm guessing you have no mortgage on your house.
Right, no mortgage.
Yeah. You should. You know what I think you should do, Steve? You should spend some of this.
Yeah, we're heading to Italy next week. So.
Okay, well, stay at a nice place.
Well, and in all sincerity on this, spending or depending on kind of if you're looking down the road and you say, I don't necessarily want 100% to go to my daughter, I want some to, there's a particular cause. Whether you want to give to that now, you could look at giving to a donor-devised fund. You still have control over those assets. Think of it like a private foundation that you control. There's a little restrictions, but not a ton. And you could consider saying, you know what if I put in $20,000 into this year and converted 20,000 at the same time?
Okay.
If you're charitably inclined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that and all these tax planning techniques when it comes to and you wouldn't put in cash, you'd look for the most highly appreciated asset that you have.
Out of your brokerage account.
Yes. And even if you love the stocks, I never want to get rid of it. Let's say buy it somewhere else.
Buy it the next.
Yeah, you do have some great planning opportunities.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate your input.
You've done a great job. Hey, and what if retirement? 6 years. You retired at the age of 58. Has it been good, bad?
No, it's been great. I actually started. I retired and started doing dog walking. I love dogs, and it gets me out of the house every day, and it's great.
And is this for pay? Are you like one of those apps?
Yeah, pay. Minimal pay, but pay, yeah.
Really?
It's not about the money. It's about the exercise.
No, I totally understand.
How many dogs do you walk at a time?
I only do 1 or 2 at a time, but I do 5 to 7 dogs a day.
Is that right?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
And you know, it's funny. I bet there's some people think, I feel good about Steve coming and taking care of the dog because I have a feeling he needs the cash.
Steve's like...
Because I'm guessing you're not wearing Gucci sneakers.
Yeah, I'm guessing you're...
No.
I'm guessing you're like the millionaire next door.
Uh-huh, yeah. I appreciate the call, Steve.
All right, thank you. I appreciate you guys. Bye.
I think that's
I'd actually stay and work rather than walk dogs.
Well, you do have a little control of your work life.
That is true. That is true. That is true.
If you were working in some meat grinder.
Yeah.
Quite often, Pat, we'll talk to people that are maybe in their 50s, they like it's not they don't like their job. They're just like, I can't keep this pace up. I'm on the road 3 weeks a month, right?
See it all the time.
On the plane all the time.
I never see my kids, my grandkids. And we're like, try to find a job that you find engaging that isn't so taxing.
Well, I mean, it sounds like Steve really enjoys the dog watching.
Walking.
Yeah. Watching. All right. Well, and Pat, it's the studies show that roughly 2/3 of baby boomers want to continue some sort of work in retirement.
They just want control over their lives.
I think that's pretty awesome. And let's talk with Rich. Rich, you're with Allworth Money Matters.
Hi, gentlemen. I enjoy your podcast. You happen to have one of the better ones. I listen to 10 or 15 of them a week.
10 or 15? You should be teaching us something.
On all financial or
Yeah, all financial.
Wow. Well, thank you. And if you would take a minute to go on that.
Give us a review.
Give us a review.
Anyway, how can we help you today?
I'll do it. All right, just a brief summary of my situation. My wife and I'm 51. My wife is 50. She has a pension. She works for a school district. She's not a school teacher. Together, we've saved about $800,000 in retirement savings. We really don't have anything else besides retirement. Out of that $875,000 of it is a Roth, and $75,000 is in her 403B. We have a variable annuity. Now, I know annuities aren't really the best thing to have in tax deferred accounts. However, this fixed account, I'm only using it for the fixed, and the fixed pays 4% guaranteed, and there are no other fees. My question is, it's diversified, real estate, bonds, all this other stuff. My question is, should I eliminate the bonds and just put should I just put like more into the 4%? And we also save $25,000 a year.
Yes.
Am I going to be able to retire?
Let's answer your first question. Let's answer your second question first, because that's the bigger question.
Okay.
Will you be able to retire? It depends on what the outflow in retirement is.
And what's your combined income now?
170.
And what are you paying towards the mortgage, not counting taxes and insurance?
Oh, 2,000.
Will that be paid off at retirement?
It better be.
Okay,
and how much you put?
How much are you putting into your retirement plans on an annual basis?
Between $25,000 and $30,000 a year between both of us.
So you're living on approximately, what are you living on there? 54.
And plus the FICA, you guys both paid into FICA.
You're living on about $100,000 a year. Is what you're living on. So if you take Social Security, will your wife be eligible for Social Security?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you retire, let's say age 65, and you're living on $100,000 a year, you're probably going to need to make up about $65,000 a year in income.
Maybe a little less than counting Social Security because of her pension.
Oh, and what's your wife's pension going to be?
Technically, when she's 64, it would be $30,000 as of now.
Yeah, you can retire.
I think you're on track.
Yeah, you're absolutely there.
Just doing a kind of rough and dirty. And part of the way we like to look at things is, I know sometimes you look at these formulas and say you need to replace 80% of your income, but it's not factoring in the fact that what you're saving right now, and you're saving 15% of your income. And
what you're putting down towards your equity in your home, which is paying off that loan. So the formula, if you go to our website,
which is another almost 15% of your income.
If you go to our website, allworthfinancial.com, and you go through the 7 personal decision points, there's a little video on there. It will actually show you how to determine how much income you're going to need in retirement. And so if you look at the fact that you're 51 and you're saving this much money towards retirement, the mortgage will be paid off, this pension's accruing, you continue to make contributions into your 401ks, 403bs, you will be more than comfortable in retirement.
Yeah,
I think more than comfortable.
Now, the other issue you brought up is this guaranteed fixed annuity. I'm hearing some wind or something.
Are you on a motorcycle
or something?
No, I walk the track. I listen to you as I walk the track.
Okay, good. I like it. Getting your health taken care of at the same time. So here's what assuming this annuity contract doesn't have what's called a market value adjustment. So what happens when you put money into an annuity contract? The insurance company goes into the marketplace.
Can you put us on mute for a second?
It does sound
I don't know how to do that.
Oh,
okay. Good.
okay.
Get your
Hang on. I'll try to cover up.
Yeah, go behind a wall or something.
Okay.
Okay, hang on.
Perfect. So when you put money into a fixed annuity like that, the insurance company goes out into the marketplace and buys securities, mostly bonds. Well, interest rates are low, so insurance companies are buying low interest rate bonds. So that means if interest rates rise, the value of those bonds are going to fall. So some contracts with insurance companies have what's called a market value adjustment. Yet one of the many reasons why I'm not a huge fan of annuities, except if you've got an old one that's paying 4%. So assuming this annuity does not have a market value adjustment and you could take the money out whatever you want, I think that's the perfect place for your bond portion of your portfolio. 100%.
Yeah, and don't be surprised if they change this interest rate if they can. Sometimes they enter into what is called a GIC or a guaranteed income contract.
It's probably an old contract, though, with a minimum floor.
Yeah, it probably is. So you would want to put all your bond into that.
As much as you can.
100% of the new dollars going into that at 4% and view that as the bond portion of your portfolio.
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah, she got it 15 years ago.
There you go.
It was like a salesperson to try to get into the school district.
Yeah.
So they were offering
it's funny.
4%.
Yeah, and they
which was not that great, and today it looks pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So it's much better than going in the bond market, because the bond market, to get more than 4% today, you're going to have to take some risk.
And you've got downside.
So look at this as the very secure portion of your portfolio.
And the fact that you're lucky to actually have access to it.
Yeah. You just want to double. You just want to see what if there's a market value adjustment, meaning in 3 years from now, if you want to move it, if you're stuck, or if there's a rolling surrender period that never ends.
Those are the downsides.
Because it might be that. It might be a 7 or 10 year surrender charge on any new deposit. So you need to take a look at those things.
Yeah, no, I know there's no surrender on it.
Beautiful.
It's just a flat.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
So, in theory, can I put all my wife's money in there when I retire and just draw the 4% a year and be good?
No.
It's the 4% rule. No?
Probably not. But they may allow it.
To do what?
To roll the rest of other dollars into that.
Transfer some more.
Probably not.
Yeah, that's a long time from now.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't worry about that now.
I would just put all new deposits that I could into that. All righty?
Okay, perfect.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
Thanks,
Enjoy
Rich.
the rest
Appreciate
of
it.
your exercise regime.
That's right. Well, unfortunately, we are out of time. We are here at the same station every week at this time, and also available via podcast. And thanks so much for being part of Allworth's Money Matters. We'll see you next week.
This program has been brought to you by Allworth Financial, a registered investment advisory firm. Any ideas presented during this program are not intended to provide specific financial advice. You should consult your own financial advisor, tax consultant, or estate planning attorney to conduct your own due diligence.